Hello and welcome to your Fantasy Premier League one-stop shop. I'm your host Stephen Gallagher, rule number 3 in points totals over the past 3 seasons. Today we're looking at all the best budget defenders, midfielders and forwards to target in FPL so that you can afford those more premium assets. If you're watching on YouTube and have been enjoying the videos, or if this is your first time watching, consider dropping a like and subscribing. And if you're listening on audio on Spotify or Apple, then rate the episode 5 stars if you enjoy. Let's get straight into it, starting with the cheap budget defenders. With Aït-Nouri getting a red card and -2 points against Ipswich, he'll be missing that Leicester game, and I can imagine a lot of FPL managers are looking for a replacement for him right now. This is my shortlist for the replacements. We have Konsa, Hall, Robinson, Lewis, Milenkovic, Colwill, Kirkes and Joe Gomez. I'm going to take a deep dive into their stats and try to rank these players based on who I think is the best transfer in this week. Each player has their pros and cons, so I think looking at them statistically will help us a lot. We've got a scatter plot here with non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90 against our fixture difficulty rating for defenders over the next 5 game weeks. We're going to be looking for players in the top right who have the perfect blend of attacking data and easy defensive fixtures, but clearly there's no standout options here. Let's start at the top based off the fixture difficulty rating. We have Colwill. Chelsea have the best upcoming fixtures according to our model, but Colwill's expected goal involvement is quite low compared to the rest of the shortlist. Rico Lewis in a similar category as Man City have good upcoming fixtures, but his data isn't too impressive, albeit still better than Colwill's. However, Lewis's minutes may be a bit of a concern. We then have Konsa at Villa. They have the 3rd best fixtures on this plot, but he's got the lowest expected goal involvement just behind Joe Gomez, who also has low expected data, and Liverpool's fixtures don't look too inspiring either. Moving on to the right side of the plot, these are the players with the best expected goal involvement, and Lewis Hall has great expected data and pretty good fixtures as well. He seems to have a good mix there, followed by Kirkes at Bournemouth and Milenkovic at Forest, who both have good goal involvement, but their fixtures aren't amazing going forward. And finally, we have Anthony Robinson. He's got the 2nd best expected goal involvement per 90 after Lewis Hall, but he's got the worst fixtures of the bunch according to our model, which is quite surprising seeing as he plays Southampton and Ipswich at home in the next 5 game weeks. But he does also play Chelsea and Bournemouth, who have been 2 of the best attacks in the league this season. Chelsea have scored the most goals in the league this season, and Bournemouth rank 4th in the league for expected goals per 90 over the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal and Aston Villa, which is a crazy stat, really impressive from them. So 2 difficult attacks to come up against for Anthony Robinson, which is bringing that fixture difficulty rating down. But he definitely does have 2 great fixtures against Southampton and Ipswich. Let's move on to the next plot, where we replace the fixture difficulty rating on the y-axis with our defensive strength rating of these players' teams this season. Joe Gomez clearly paying for the best defence, but his attacking data isn't amazing. Milenkovic for Nottingham Forest ahead of the rest of the bunch. We know how good Nottingham Forest defence has been this season. Konsa at Villa and Colwill at Chelsea showing relatively similar defensive strength ratings, although Colwill has slightly higher goal threat. Then Rico Lewis and Anthony Robinson also on similar levels in terms of the defensive strength, but Robinson showing much higher goal threat. And finally, Kirkes and Hall playing for the worst defences on this shortlist, but also putting up really good attacking data, especially Lewis Hall. So with all that considered, the upcoming fixture difficulty, the expected goal threat, all these things combined, here is my ranking of the budget defenders. In first place, I have Anthony Robinson. He plays Southampton and Ipswich at home in the next 5 game weeks. He has exceptional attacking data, bagging 2 assists against Liverpool. The fixture difficulty rating model did dock Fulham a lot of points because they play Chelsea and Bournemouth in game week 18 and 19, which makes sense. But if you can rotate him around those fixtures, I think he's a great pick. Speaking of rotations, keep an eye out for my game week 17 video tomorrow. I've added in a new section which covers defender and attacking rotations. So yeah, really excited to show you guys that. In second place, I have Lewis Hall, and for me, I was debating putting him first, but between him and Robinson, I just think that Fulham have better upcoming fixtures and have a slightly better defence statistically, which we did see in the second plot as well. But Hall is very deserving of a spot this high up. I think he has such high upside as a budget defender. I'm not necessarily hoping for clean sheets every week from him, but I am going to be looking for those attacking returns to pop up every once in a while, and if he can combine those with a clean sheet like he did against Leicester, then he's in for a huge haul. Pun not intended. In third place, I have Levi Colwill. Not the most exciting pick in terms of potential attacking returns, but Chelsea defence looks really good this season and they have the best upcoming fixtures of any team in the league. Kirkez in fourth place. I think Kirkez is a great high upside pick. He's got amazing attacking potential, up there with Robinson and Hall, and he does have good upcoming fixtures. Bournemouth have also been putting up decent defensive data this season. For me, I like to attack those high upside attacking players when it comes to these budget defenders. I know Colwill is ahead of Kirkez, which kind of defies that logic, but that's just because Chelsea have the best fixtures in the game and have been good defensively. For me, Kirkez is a great pick. He can get you a big score if he combines his attacking potential with a clean sheet. In fifth place, I have Milenkovic. Forest have been amazing defensively this season, and this man is a big threat from set pieces, which we have seen so far. 2 goals in the past 2 games. He doesn't get many chances, but when he does get a chance, they're very high XG chances, and he gets himself in great positions off those set pieces. He's always going to be a threat there. He's in 5th place, followed by Rico Lewis in 6th place, a man that a lot of people got fed up with and sold recently. But funnily enough, I think he's back on the menu. I know City have their defensive issues. They really aren't defending well at all recently. But they do have really good upcoming fixtures with Everton at home, Leicester away and West Ham at home in game week 18, 19 and 20. So that alone is worth giving Rico Lewis a shout. His minutes may not be too secure, but he does have that high upside with his advanced positioning if City can start to play like we know they can. In 7th place, I have Joe Gomez. With how good Liverpool are defensively, a 4.9 million defender from them has to be on this list. The reason he's so low on the list is because his attacking potential isn't huge, and we all know his spot will be taken by Konate when he returns. In 8th place, I have Konsa for Villa. Still a pick worthy of making the shortlist because of how good Villa's upcoming fixtures look. I just think that their good fixtures start in game week 20 rather than now in game week 17. On to the midfielders. A lot of debate going around as to who are the best cheap midfielders, so I'm going to try and rank them. This is the shortlist. Dango Otara, Enzo, Rogers, Ahmad, Smith Rowe, Semenyo, Iwobi and Ismail Assar. Let's take a look at their data. We've got a plot here with non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90 against our fixtures difficulty rating for attackers over the next 5 game weeks. Ideally, someone would be in the top right here, but that's not the case, and never really is the case with players at this price point. But in terms of expected data, Dango Utara is far ahead of any of the options here. It is worth noting that he only has 600 minutes played, which is skewing his data compared to the rest of the shortlist because we're looking at per 90 data. But his minutes are looking better and better as the season progresses, so he's definitely one to consider. However, him and Semenyo do also have the worst fixtures of this shortlist. On the other end of the spectrum, the Fulham lads, Iwobi and Smith Rowe, have the best upcoming fixtures, but their expected data is lower than the others. As you can see, however, Iwobi's expected data is in line with Enzo and Ahmad's. Iwobi has 0.34 non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90. Enzo has 0.35 and Ahmad has 0.37. So if you're deciding between these guys, based off the data and the fixtures, Iwobi has slightly lower expected goal involvement, but his fixtures are amazing. Other players to mention here, Ismail Assar has good expected data and decent upcoming fixtures. He just got 2 goals and an assist against Brighton, but he's the most expensive of the lot here. And Rogers in the middle here, not the best data, not the best upcoming fixtures, but he's a 90-minute man in a great attack, so definitely still a contender on the list. To get another perspective and to help me rank these players, let's look at another plot, replacing the fixture difficulty rating on the y-axis with the bonus point system per 90 for each player. And we can see Ahmad separating himself from the bunch here, then Enzo and Iwobi in a cluster not too far behind. At the bottom of the bonus point system here are Rogers and Semenyo, but they've still got better expected data compared to Ahmad, Enzo and Iwobi. So, taking everything into consideration, the fixtures, the data, the form, this is my ranking of the cheap midfielders. In first place, I have Iwobi. He has incredible fixtures from game week 17 all the way up to game week 22. 3 goals and 2 assists in the last 6 games, despite Fulham playing some really tough opponents. And he's just a key player for Fulham. He plays 90 minutes every game. He's my top spot. In second place, I have Ahmad. And in third, I have Enzo. It was a tough decision between these two. Their data is just so similar. I just think Ahmad has more of a goal threat compared to Enzo. On the other hand, Enzo has set pieces and is more nailed than Ahmad. So it is really a close one. I just edge it in Ahmad's favour. In fourth and fifth, I have the Bournemouth lads, Semenyo and Dango Otara. For me, Semenyo is just a more secure asset in terms of his minutes. Yes, Dango has amazing expected data, but I do expect that to drop off slightly as he plays more minutes. On Semenyo, he's been very, very frustrating as an owner myself. always looking threatening, but he's never getting any returns. But what can you expect from a budget midfielder? You're not going to get returns every week. On to 6th place, I have Rodgers. I think his data, his minutes security, and mostly the fact that he plays for such a good Villa attack all make him a good asset in my eyes. I know a lot of people are likely selling him for one of these other shiny new toys, but I have him and I'm holding faith personally. I just think he's a great asset at his price, which is why he's ahead of Ismaila Sarr in 7th place. Just that price difference. Palace have been really impressive and Sarr's data looks really good. He's on form. I just think Palace's good fixtures start in Game Week 19 when they play Southampton at home, then Leicester away in Game Week 21. And finally, in 8th place, I have the other Fulham asset, Emile Smith-Rowe. For me, Iwobi is just a much better asset for only 0.2 million more. He's in much better form and his minutes are more secure in that Fulham attack. On to the cheap forwards. A lot of people will be looking for a Cunha replacement. Whether or not he's banned in Game Week 17, we don't know. I'll cover that more in my Game Week 17 video tomorrow. What we do know is that a ban is coming, so it's worth looking at his replacements now. This is the short list of cheap forwards I've created. Raul, João Pedro, Vardy, Evanilson, Wissa, Wood, Højlund and Mateta. Notable exemptions are Welbeck because he may be injured and João Pedro has better data in the same team and is cheaper. I've also left out Darwin and Gakpo because their minutes are so uncertain with Jota back and Liverpool's busy fixture schedule. But we do have a nice shortlist of 8 players here. Let's have a look at their data, looking at this plot of non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90 against our fixture difficulty rating for attackers. We can see some interesting things straight away. Firstly, a couple standout options in the top right already. Raul Jimenez has the best fixtures from an attacking perspective, but he's also got the expected data to boot, ranking 3rd out of all players on this shortlist for non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90. And not far behind him is João Pedro. He's got better expected data, but not as good upcoming fixtures. Then looking to the left of this plot, it's interesting to see the 3 most expensive players on this shortlist, Mateta, Højlund and Chris Wood, all have the worst expected data. Their fixtures aren't the worst here, but when you match up the fixture difficulty rating, you can see that Mateta has the same fixture difficulty as João Pedro, but worse expected data. Højlund has the lowest expected goal involvement of everyone, and Wood has the same fixture difficulty as Wissa, but Wissa has the best expected goal involvement of everyone on the shortlist. So the more expensive budget options, if that makes any sense, aren't doing much to separate themselves from the other cheaper options from a statistical point of view anyways. Lastly, in the bottom of the rankings in terms of fixture difficulty are Vardy and Evanilson. They have decent expected data, but their upcoming fixtures are quite tough. On to the next plot, we've replaced the fixture difficulty with the bonus point system per 90. We can see players on the shortlist moving around here. In the top right is Wissa with João Pedro not too far behind. Raul Jimenez dropping down a bit, suggesting his performances aren't as strong as his expected data. Still nothing to separate Vardy and Evanilson, and then Chris Wood separating himself from Mateta there, and then Højlund is firmly the worst performing asset on the shortlist from a statistical point of view. So, taking everything into consideration, the fixtures, the data, the form, this is my ranking of the cheap forwards. In first place, I have João Pedro, and in second place, I have Raul Jimenez. I'm showing them both at the same time because it was really difficult to decide between these 2 players. They both have great upcoming fixtures and great data, but what sways me in João Pedro's favour is the fact that Raul Jimenez is in competition with Muniz at that centre forward role, and Muniz is coming into a bit of form recently, so Raul's minutes may be reduced slightly, whereas João Pedro is absolutely essential to that Brighton attack, so that sways it for me. In third place, I have Yoane Wissa. I just think his expected data is too good to ignore. He may not have as good fixtures as Mateta or Højlund, but his data is good enough to make me lean towards him for that 3rd place slot. Not only does he have the 5th highest non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90 for all forwards, he also has the highest XG per shot taken and the highest percentage of shots on target. So not only is he getting a lot of high quality chances, but he's putting a lot of them on target, which is really good for the bonus point system. So I really like him as an asset. If his fixtures were better, I'd say he'd easily be top of the pack here. In 4th place is Chris Wood. The narrative around Wood is that although he doesn't get many chances, which is why his expected data is so low, the few chances that he does get, he usually converts. And when we look at the data, this is confirmed. He ranks 3rd for percentage of shots on target for forwards, but he ranks 12th for XG per shot taken. So not actually as high as we'd expect given the narrative around him getting a lot of high XG chances. But his form this season and his consistency in front of goal has him in 4th place. In 5th place is Evanilson, and in 6th place is Vardy. As you saw in those two plots, these two are inseparable based off the data, but I just edge it in Evanilson's favour based off the fact that Bournemouth are a more potent attack than Leicester this season, and compared to most teams in the league really, Bournemouth rank 4th for XG per 90 this season. Already, like I said, more than Liverpool, Arsenal, Villa, Brentford, Brighton, the list goes on. So Evanilson is in 5th and Vardy in 6th for me. Their fixtures aren't great, but they're ahead of my pick in 7th, and that is Mateta. Although his fixtures look good, his data doesn't look good compared to these other assets, and he's also the most expensive of the bunch. That being said, Palace are having a turn in form for the better, so maybe he'll benefit from that in the form of a few FPL points. And finally, in 8th, I have Højlund. He has decent fixtures, but he also has the worst expected data of everyone on the shortlist. Maybe that will change as he settles into this new Amarim system a bit more, but that's a wait and see. And based off the data as we speak, it's not too inspiring. That's all for today, folks. Go ahead and drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and rate 5 stars on audio, and also keep an eye out for my Game Week 17 video tomorrow. Until next time, guys, have a good one.